Hi everyone and welcome back to our Crybaby Whims challenge. Today is a really big day. We have so much going on. It is currently Love Day, which is definitely Rosalie's favorite holiday because she loves love. She's going to be working on her book today finally, and also it's Friday, which means final exams. I cannot believe that I didn't realize that before, so today is a really huge important day. She has 2 final exams to take. One is in 3 hours, so we have a bit of time to prepare and we do have stuff to take care of. So I'm going to have herself be ready for the start of her day. And while she's doing that, I have a bit of something to talk about. So Trey, remember how we set him up with someone, I think 2 episodes ago? Well, someone pointed out in the comments of the last episode that I kind of messed up there because initially we set him up with Brinley, but suddenly in the episode after that he was with Rosalia, and that is completely my mistake. I think I talked about that in that episode, that I had to like replay everything because I didn't save it, so I had to like replay everything I did quickly to record the next episode. So I kind of made a mistake there. I didn't think to check and I misremembered who I set up Trey with, so accidentally I thought it was Rosalia, so that's why that happened. I can't believe I did that, but it is what it is, and I don't want to go back to Brinley now because that would just make things confusing for everyone. So we'll just leave Rosalia to be with Trey and we can just pretend that it was meant to be that way all along. I do feel bad for Brinley though, and will apologize to her by setting her up with someone else maybe. I don't really have any specific options, but we'll work on it to figure things out. But yeah, I just wanted to address that little oopsie that I did. But anyway, after Rosalie's done taking care of herself, I also need her to maybe grab herself some breakfast, so we can just order a bit of avocado toast here. I also don't think she'll have time to do this before she goes to her exam, but I'll purchase her a university textbook just because I kind of forgot to do that before. So we'll just get her this language and literature university course book, which is 700 simoleons. That is so expensive, but we have to get her one. So we'll just get her that. Hopefully she'll have a bit of time to study before the exam, but probably not. Especially because getting ready took her a little bit longer than usual because she had to do a lot of stuff. So she has to go to her exam in like an hour or so. So hopefully she's gonna have like decent breakfast at the very least. So let's just grab that. And oh no, look how messy the kitchen is. Is she really going to eat in front of all of that rotting food? Oh, that's horrible. I feel so bad for her. Oh, and Angelique is calling about adopting a horse. I think that she did this last time as well. Well, she lives on a big beautiful farm, so I guess it kind of makes sense. We can't go obviously because we're taking our exam, but she seems to be inviting Rosalie over quite a lot. I think that she really misses her high school friend, which is kind of sweet. I think that we need to arrange a little stayover with Angelique at some point because I really think that she wants to show off her farm, but we can't do that right now. I would Drake him over to chat. Well, we can ask how he's doing with I guess with Rosalia then. So let's just ask about his new actual girlfriend, Rosalia. Oh no, she doesn't want to. She's not in a very social mood. Alright, fair enough. I think that she kind of needs to go to class then. Yeah, she's just fully ready to go. Doesn't really want to do any small talk. She's just kind of nervous. Literally running to class. She's gonna be so early, but at least she'll have a bit of time to actually study. So I'm gonna have her go and study a bit for telling tales. I did want her to maybe send a little message to Harmony. We don't have time now because she's studying obviously, but look at this. Harmony is an elder now. I think that she literally aged up today, I'm pretty sure. But I can't believe that she's already an elder. I mean, she's been around for like a really long time, so it kind of makes sense, but still. I need to give her a bit of a makeover maybe for next time to look a little bit more appropriate. But oh my gosh, can you believe it? We haven't seen her in like so long, ever since Rosalie started university, so we definitely need to go to college and visit. But I'll tear her away from studying now because it's about to be time to actually go to the exam. Okay, there she goes on her final exam of her first year. Oh, I'm so nervous for her. Good luck, Rosalie. Oh, and Harmony's calling just at that second when she entered the classroom. I guess that she has a bit of time to actually respond. So she wants to go on a date with someone. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for her that she's finally moving on. Of course I'm gonna say yes. It's even Love Day and she is asking Rosalie, who is all about love, so of course romance is in the air. And she's feeling so flirty now because of that. Okay, let's see what we can do. We can't really do much. She can just sleep in class and cheat on the exam, so none of those options are good, but hopefully she's gonna do good. She just finished her exam and it looks like it went pretty well, so I'm really excited for her. She has her next exam in 3 hours, so I think I'll definitely have her to just go study for it the entire time. It is maybe a bit intense, but I'm pretty sure that she's feeling quite okay and she doesn't really need to go back home for like any reason, so she could just be studying because yeah, she's feeling completely okay and she really wants to make sure that her actual final exam of this year ends up really good. I see that she's feeling a little bit stressed out because her resolution is due, obviously about writing her book, and yeah, she has 23 hours to finish it, which is definitely not going to happen. She'll probably start working on it now after she meets up with her professor, but there is no way that she's actually going to finish the full book. So we will technically fail this, but at least she'll start working on it. Oh, she feels so stressed out and uncomfortable because her exam is in 1 hour. I mean, you could just like study a little bit more, no? She just wanted to make sure that she's gonna be on time. You are like so on time. You're so early. She can't even study because she's just way too uncomfortable. You know what? Fair enough. You could then actually just go and message Harmony just to tell her that you're thinking of her and that you didn't forget her. I'm sure that she will really, really appreciate it, especially because it looks like it's her birthday today. But she's going to her exam still feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Hopefully that will kind of sort itself out so she doesn't do poorly on this exam. Well, she just finished her exam with a bunch of other people who are also stinking, so that's quite uncomfortable, but it looks like it went really well. So I'll just send her really quickly home to take care of herself, and then she needs to go meet her professor. So I'm just gonna have her go upstairs, maybe just like practice a bit of storytelling. Oh, and I see that there is something actually going on here, so let me check what that is. She doesn't really have time to get involved, but I do want to see what's happening. Something for like the final day probably. I see that some people are here from like the opposite uni, so I feel like it's kind of like a little gathering to celebrate the end of the year, like the exams and stuff. Yeah, that's interesting, but we don't have time to focus on it. So instead I sent her upstairs to practice a bit of storytelling because she kind of has to come up with the idea for the book, and she's thinking, well, it's love day and my professor told me to write about something that I like and that I find relatable and that my peers could be finding relatable. So she's thinking she has this little knack for putting people together, and she did put together a couple of successful couples. She has at least 2, so maybe that's something that she could be writing about. Maybe like a little manual on how to recognize true love or something. That's definitely something that her peers could also find useful and relatable. So maybe there's something to it, and it doesn't have to be super academic and super deep because it is her first work, and that's also what her professor said. So I feel like she's kind of onto something there. So she's kind of practicing how to pitch this idea to her professor. I mean, it doesn't really all depend on him. He just kind of will tell her his feedback, but she'll also have to work with whoever he decided that she'll have to work with. So it's not all on him, but she does want to make the best first impression when it comes to her idea, and she's feeling quite confident about it. So I think that she's kind of onto something there. I think that Love Day definitely has inspired her, and also setting up Harmony with someone earlier today. But I think that it's kind of time to... Oh, I was gonna say, I think it's time to actually go and meet the professor, but her final grades are in. I thought that this would happen much later, but she did so well. Look at this. Everything is A+ except this one, which was, I'm pretty sure, her term paper, which is a bit annoying, but she did have those like difficulties with her laptop and everything, so it was a bit scruffed, but everything else is A+, and her GPA overall is still A+, which is unbelievable. But I mean, it is expected from Rosalie, isn't it? Oh, and we have to sign up for the next term now. Okay, sure, we can do that. So obviously we're still in language and literature, and we need 3 classes to graduate, so we'll just take 3 of the main ones. I don't really care about electives at all. And oh right, housing. So I was kind of thinking to have Rosalie be in some other housing for her second year, because I really love the dorm and she loves spending time with the people here. She made a lot of new friends, but it is quite hectic, it is quite smelly, it is quite dirty all the time, so it's not the best environment for studying very seriously, because she obviously is taking university very seriously, and she'll also have this book that she's writing about, which is also very serious work, so she does need a lot of peace and quiet, which she's not really getting here. So I am a bit concerned, but right now I don't have anything ready for her. Maybe we'll be moving in the next episode or the one after that, so that's kind of my idea there. But right now we'll be staying in university housing just because I don't really have anything prepared yet. So let's see, we have another 7 grand that we'll have to pay off, but we do still have a bit of scholarship, so that's useful. We'll definitely pay it with a student loan because right now we can't even afford it with our household funds, so it is gonna have to be that way. And she does have classes in 4 days, 3 days, so we don't really have to do much now, but we do have to go and meet up with her professor, especially because she's feeling quite confident about it. We met up at the library again, of course, and he says that his son is going to be a little bit late, which is just fine. We could just get in and talk about our ideas so he kind of knows that we're doing something at least. Victor wants to go on a date. Well, that just kind of came out of nowhere. What? Wait, isn't he dating Angelique? Or at least he was at school at some point. So that's an even extra reason to say no. I don't think that they're dating now because they have very different lifestyles and everything, but where is this coming from? We cannot say yes to him. He's like years late, because like she did have a bit of a crush on him when they first started high school, but she's like halfway through her university now. He's years late on taking that hint. So no thank you. I hope that that won't affect their friendship because they are kind of like nice friends, but that's so awkward. I guess love really is in the air because everyone's just having some really crazy ideas today. But anyway, we sat down with the professor so we can talk about the ideas that Rosalie just had, and she can just tell him that she has a bit of experience with setting people up. So this is basically the foundation of her book to kind of help her peers see how beautiful love can be and how they can maybe find it for themselves, or maybe even for people who want to be doing what she's doing and set people up. So kind of like just explore what love is and how to get it, but on a really approachable level. And he seems like he's kind of happy with the idea. It's a pleasant, nice conversation. So he thinks, yeah, sure, that's actually a really good thing to start your career with, and you can easily build on it once you start getting a bit of more experience and recognition. And she seems quite happy with that feedback, which is amazing. So it looks like their conversation is starting to go pretty well. I'm really happy that Rosalie actually got this help from her professor. It's just really sweet of him also to do this after hours, basically, because he is finished with his work and everything. So I really do appreciate it. It looks like she does appreciate it too. She's feeling very confident. They even gained a sentiment, so things are absolutely amazing. So I really hope that he'll get involved into the progress of the book as well, that he's not just here to kind of set up the process of it. I would really love to have his feedback along the way. Oh, but look who decided to sit next to them. It's only Valentino. I feel like Rosalie would be furious to see him here, ruining her big meeting with her professor. So Valentino, what are you even trying to do here? Why are you here? So definitely confront him about that. What are you doing here? And he's like, what am I doing here? I'm here with my father to do some important business. What are you doing here just being in the way? And his father's like, oh, you two know each other? Okay, that's absolutely amazing then. So my work is done. You two can just hang out with each other and I'll check in on the book progress every now and then. Please don't disappoint me. He's literally leaving. He just dropped Valentino here and he's leaving. Rosalie is furious. She does not want anything to do with this. She just wants to argue with him. Just what do you think you're doing here? She cannot believe that she's stuck working with him now, especially because she doesn't want to disappoint her professor, and she's a bit worried that it could affect her course. It shouldn't because it's not a part of it, but if she gets on her professor's bad side, if she looks ungrateful that he set up all of this for her, she's worried that her grades will suffer. So now she feels like she absolutely has to do this, but she really doesn't want to. She does not want to listen to Valentino at all, but he does say, okay, you know what, let's just work on this stupid book. Let's go upstairs to have a bit of peace, a bit of privacy. This is not his favorite thing ever either, but when his father tells him to do something, he does want to listen, so he's stuck in this as well. So they just kind of have to tolerate each other, and that's gonna be it. We are stuck with Valentino, but let's try then, at the very least. Although they are arguing and it's an unpleasant conversation, let's try to just kind of talk about book stuff. Just ask him about his hobbies and skills and what does he do? What is his input that he could offer? Is he having any sort of knowledge on this topic? I mean, I guess that we should tell him what the book is about, right? So just tell him about your idea for the book because he's not in the loop, obviously. And I'm kind of worried that he will kind of make fun of her when she initially says the idea. He's like, so what? We're writing a cheesy romance book? It's not a cheesy romance book. It's so much more than that. It's about how beautiful love can be, and sometimes it's so hard to find it, especially with younger people like us, with so many of them not wanting anything serious, and just it's so hard to find an actual partner. It's a book about that, for people who need help to find something and actually set their life to be beautiful and started that way. And he's just so bored, doesn't really care. All he's saying is, well, if you're such an expert on love, how are you alone? And she's explaining, well, I was in a relationship but that ended. But no, he just won't really take it. He's like, well, if you're an expert on love, prove it to me. It's love day, let's make this into a date then. What? But no, he's just like, let's make this into a date, otherwise I'm not gonna work with you. And that's such an awful way to say it. And before Rosalie could even figure out what's happening, it's already an official date. So she knows that she's kind of stuck with him now. They have to work together. She currently can't stand him and he's just very angry to be in this situation too. But she kind of figured, okay, I guess that we just have to find common ground. But before we have a chance to do that, she needs to confront him about what happened. About him entering her room, and even worse, about him making a fool out of her in front of everyone else, pretending like he never did any of those things. And he's trying to explain, yes, that was wrong, but I just kind of didn't know how to handle it. And the reason why I entered your room was because I wanted to know more about you. Ever since he saw Rosalie at that first class that they went to where he was better than her, it was because he was trying to show off to impress her. And obviously things went kind of poorly there. And since then he was just kind of obsessed figuring out what she was up to, what she likes, what she she enjoys. He didn't know how to approach her, so he's kind of apologizing. Real Edward Cullen moment, in my opinion. Definitely not an excuse, but Rosalie's kind of intrigued, weirdly enough, because no one had ever put that much effort into talking with her, because when she was with Chastity, she was mostly trying to please Chastity. But now it kind of feels like it's the other way around. Although he is definitely in the wrong still, Rosalie's just kind of looking at this through rose-tinted glasses and is kind of weirdly intrigued. Before they could finish that conversation, he kind of ran off and they both started reading books, but maybe they're finally focusing on a bit of research for the books. I see that Rosalie's reading a bit of romance. He's reading a bit of science fiction, so I feel like they're in a bit of a different realm there. But they're still having a bit of a conversation as well while reading about what they just talked about. She's asking, well, what did you find out about me while snooping around? If he wasn't actually looking at her homework, what else was he looking at? And well, he says that he figured out that she lived with her grandmother and that he can kind of relate because he only lived with his stepfather for most of his life and he took him under his wing. They kind of understand each other with that, so it looks like they're kind of sharing their experiences. It is making him a little bit sad, and Rosalie is kind of still a little bit cautious, doesn't really want to trust him too much, but she kind of sees that at least they kind of have stuff in common, so she is interested in getting to know him. He does seem a little bit awkward, and he says that he's not really expressing any interest in learning about people in their course. That's why he doesn't really have any friends at the dorm. He just doesn't really care, so that's why he also didn't know how to approach Rosalie as well. He's just not good with people, which is still, like, I saw that she did a little yawn. She's not really impressed with that explanation, but she is intrigued, so she definitely wants to get to know him a little bit better, maybe learn more about him. She sees that this conversation is kind of difficult for him. Still, I'm not on his side at all, but Rosalie, as I said, is intrigued, so let's just try to learn more about him, see where he's coming from, what's happening in that weird head of his. They just became good friends, so I guess that she doesn't hate him as much anymore. Oh, we just learned that he's ambitious, so that's good when it comes to writing the book, right? So let's try to learn a little bit more, because that's quite essential to know more about him. She's asking about his past as well, which is good. Maybe ask him if he does anything else besides university, especially because he's ambitious. Maybe ask about his favorite authors. So they're kind of trying to figure stuff out, which is good. She also just learned that he's romantic as well. But I did realize that it's first of all 5 a.m. Second of all, she's exhausted, but also quite hungry. And I think that he noticed too, because he's saying, well, let's just go and maybe grab a bit of food because this is just not okay. We've been here all night. I did just end the date, which did give them some sentiment. So let's take a look. They're closer from happy memories and they're both smitten with each other. And they're technically lovebirds, which is kind of crazy because they didn't do anything romantic. It looks like some love day activities definitely were happening. This love day is kind of crazy for everyone. And we arrived at the pub, but since Rosalie's so tired, she's just gonna go grab a seat and Valentina's gonna go grab some food. So the food is ready. These two can continue chatting and oh my gosh, he just flirted with her. Did he really? Wow. I mean, he did say that he's gonna start working with Rosalie when she proves that she knows something about romance, but she did not enjoy that. That was just a bit too soon. They hated each other up until like 6 hours ago and now they're kind of like a bit better. So let's try to just continue casually chatting instead. It is unpleasant, so I think that he kind of pushed it a little bit too far. He's very flirty, she's very confident, but doesn't really want to look at things that way. Let's just try to continue asking a bit more about him. He just learned about her lifestyle, but she could maybe be asking him what is his experience with love since he's writing this book with her. Then let's just see. Oh my gosh, he's flirting again. I didn't really mean it that way, but she took it this time. But let's just ask him how he's feeling about, oh, he's a bit of a snob, so he has very high standards, which I guess fair enough. That's kind of all that we know. And he doesn't really want to answer any more questions. But now that Rosalie did take that flirt, maybe she would kind of want to try to give it back. Not because she's quite ready to actually flirt, but just, you know, just for science. Just to kind of prove that she knows what she's talking about. So maybe she would want to try to do something a little bit silly and goofy like that, just to ease the tension, because there is quite a lot of it. Oh, and they have the romance bar now. I still don't know how I feel about it because he icked me out like so bad, but Rosalie is a little bit confused. But she is also quite tired, so they kind of decided to take a little nap here together because they've been working for so long that they just kind of fell asleep in the pub. So what are we thinking about this situation? I don't know. I don't like her. I don't like her, but it's Rosalie's choice and she needs to be careful. But if you want to see what happens in the next episode, if they manage to make some book progress or some other progress, you can click it right here to watch the next episode. And if the next episode is not out yet, here is something to watch while you wait. See you there.